All right, we have just finished the Manga Shanks tournament where Muqsit has won with what leader? Donquixote Donflamingo.
Yes.
Could you explain what the leader does a little bit?
The leader's effect is Dawn ×2. When attacking, you tap 1 Dawn. You reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a 7 Warlords of the Sea, 4 or less, you can play it in rest mode. What's nice about this leader is basically cheating out 4 costs for only 3 Dawn, that while you're swinging for 7. So technically it's 1 Dawn, you're paying 1, but you're using 3, it's a 3 Dawn investment, and you're swinging for 7k. 7k is a very strong number to swing with.
Definitely. All right, let's start the deck profile.
So as I said, the leader plays it off the top of the deck, but you're not guessing what card is on the top of the deck. You need to know. So we run 4 Perona, 1 drop. You look at the top 5, and you get to organize it either in top or bottom. You can only choose 1. So you usually organize it on the top. You'll try to put, so what I usually do is, if I use the effect next turn, I'll try to put the 2nd and the 4th card as the Warlord. If I'm using it this turn, then it's 1, 3, and 5. Obviously, there are a lot of other cards in this deck that draw, so it's a little, you need to, predict when you're going to draw and when you're going to play and if you're going to draw. So that's usually where the skill comes in this deck. And then we also have this. So what's really nice about Donflamingo is he does the same thing as Perona. Look at top 5, but he's a blocker. He's a 3-drop. And he's a Warlord, so you can play him off the leader. Usually you're just tapping 3 for him. That way on your 5 Dawn turn, you could just use your leader effect and you have a blocker to protect whatever you're going to play. But there are instances where you can just play him off the leader, especially if you don't have anything and you're just doing a blind guess. Having this guy in the deck, it could just be a target out of nowhere.
Which opener do you like better, Perona or
I love this guy just because he's a blocker. A lot of times, whoever you play, they're in rest mode, meaning they're vulnerable to whatever your opponent swings at. And if they swing pretty tall, you just block it.
Okay.
Now we're going to go through the other Warlords. Boa is another Warlord. She's one of the best Warlords just because she draws cards. So Dawn 1, when attacking or on block, if you have 5 or less cards, you could draw 1. So usually you do have around 5 cards in hand or less. There are a few instances where you don't, but you could play around it. You can play whatever you have to first and then swing with her or block with her. She's great. She usually is the one you want to play off your leader effect in the early game and try to protect her. You're not going to spend too much protecting her, and she's going to grab you that value back, especially if you have a blocker. So on your 3 Dawn, you play this. On your 5 Dawn, you can use your leader effect to play this. You have 2 Dawn open for event cards, which you'll see later. And you also have the block. Keeping her alive is insane. She's just going to generate so much value throughout the entire game.
For sure.
This is Blackbeard or Marshall Teach. I run 4 of him, which a lot of people don't run 4 of him. He's good and bad. So what's good about him is he's on play, return 3 or less to the hand, which is really insane with your leader effect, because if your opponent has 1 blocker that's 3 or less and you're swinging at say their leader or a character and you're swinging tall and they think they're going to be fine because they're going to block, you can use the 1 Dawn, play this guy. They won't expect it because they can't see the top of your deck, and you can bounce their blocker to their hand. Some blockers don't have counter power, so you're not giving them value to their hand either, and you're just pushing through for damage. But it's really nice against Zoro. You could just bounce Nico Robin. It's really good against Kid. You're slowing down their Okikus. It's just great card in general, but it's a lot. I like it a lot for just pushing for game and just pushing against cards like A-Drop Kid, because they think they're safe with a blocker, but Teach can stop that. But it's also a great tempo card. What I don't like about the card is that it's 4k power. It's very easy not only to kill, but it's hard for you to apply pressure sometimes.
Right.
It can be a little expensive.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth the payoff for 4. Worst case scenario, it's a 1k counter.
Yeah.
4 Mihawk. This guy's great. Instantly he's a 2k counter, but he's also a 7 Warlord, so you can play him. His effect is nothing crazy. It's just Dawn 1 when attacking. You're just filtering 2 cards, draw 2, pitch 2. It can be pretty nice, but you have to be careful. If you're looking at the top 5, it can ruin it sometimes. But most of the time, you're just using the 2k counter. And what's also nice about him is, I'll show you Gecko Moria. She's another Warlord you play, and her on-play effect is you can add any of the other Warlords or the Thriller Bark being Perona. She's the only one, I'm pretty sure. So you can add these 2k counters back to your hand, so you're basically generating free value. So if you use the leader, play this, and you grab this back to your hand, you straight up just plussed off that.
Yeah.
Because this was off the deck, and this is from the drop you picked up. This is amazing, just to generate value.
Yeah, the
and
fact
it'll help you defend it. So if you just have one of these in your drop, have this in rest, and pick this back up, and next turn you have a 2k counter to defend your guys with.
Yeah, all the warlords being 1k is like kind of broken.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they all have combo power.
They all have counter power, which is insane. Next is Kuma. This is one of my favorite ones in certain matchups. But most of the time, he's just amazing. Honestly, he might be my favorite in every matchup. The only problem is there's a time to play him. So his ability is also a blocker 4-drop, but his effect is crazy. On KO, you play a Pacifista 4 or less from your hand. We're running this. So this guy is insane tempo, just because when he dies, you're playing a 6k body on board, which is huge. Usually they're not ready for that. And if you're in the Kaido matchup, in the 10-drop Kaido, you have this on board, you could just go straight into this. If any kind of like commitment Kaido makes to play a big body, whether it's in a 9-drop, 10-drop, even the 6-drop, and they'll KO this, you could just apply major pressure with this, and your leader, you're probably going to do 2 damage or threaten multiple cards out of their hand. So this card is insane. Sometimes I feel like I want to go to 4 Pacifista, but space can be a little tight, but I don't think it's a bad idea going to 4. This combo is insane.
Do you like the blocker Pacifista or not really?
No, not really, because of the blocker Pacifista doesn't have counter power, and this is 6k, and 6k is a very nice number. Especially to swing at cards like in red, the Luffy. Luffy can be very annoying for you, and this just helps so much.
Right.
Next we play 4 Law. He is a warlord, but you're not going to play him off the deck unless you either misplay or you just go random and hit it. But he's just a 1-drop blocker. Really, really nice against red. Just slamming him down and protecting your bodies on board. All the warlords you're playing off your leader. And then just being able to kill their guys back next turn. It's great. And what's really nice is he is a warlord, so you can pick him up with Gecko Moria. So for 5 Dawn, you're essentially just having a Gecko Moria in hand and this guy in your drop. For 5 Dawn, you're playing Gecko and this. So not only generating a body, you're generating a blocker, and it's just insane value. So now we just go to more of the tech cards. I read 2 Jinbei. Jinbei is really nice. There's his only bad part is he's a 2k attacker, so he's not really an attacker, and he has no counter power. However, there are 2 reasons you run him. One is he has a trigger, which is free playing him, but even sometimes he'll just tap 4 just to place a character 3 or less at the bottom. This is huge against so many matchups. Against red, you're bottom decking Nico, you're bottom decking Zoro, you're bottom decking any of their other weenies. Against green, your bottom deck of Okiku or any blockers, and the trigger is huge. Against green, they might have their blockers up ready to protect their 8-drop kid, and you hit this off a trigger, you could just ruin their entire...
Did you ever hit the trigger in tournament today?
Yeah, definitely hit the trigger in tournament. I actually won one of my games.
Oh, wow.
Straight up, I hit it off the first life, and it just gave me so much tempo that I just won game 1.
Wow.
It was pretty much over. So yeah, just the trigger could literally change the game. Not only that, what's huge is I also won off of this because you hit the trigger, and say your opponent has 1 life left and they pretty much don't have any defense, you hit the trigger, you play this, you don't have to bottom deck anything, but you could put 5, 6, 7 Dawn on him, swing, and then swing if your opponent doesn't have much cards in their hand, and you just generated 2 damage when your opponent was not expecting.
It's a free body.
Yeah, it's a free body. 2k is little, but when you have 10 Dawn up and your opponent has a couple cards in hand, they can kill you. Virgo is nice. He's a 5-drop. He didn't come up too much today, but when he did, he put in work. Simply just by being a body on board. He's 5, so you cannot play him off the leader, and he's not a warlord anyways. But 5/7 is a very powerful stat. Red can't jet pistol him. They'll have to use Otama or something. And the great part is against Green Kid, this guy came in very handy. Just because you slam this guy down, and if they play 8-drop on you, you have multiple answers. So you have this. So against Kid earlier, I had the Pacifista out off of Kuma. I had Virgo out, and that's 2 just big bodies. Because 5 putting 3 Dawn is a little annoying, but putting 2 or 1 just to swing at an 8-drop kid is a lot of pressure for them.
Right, it's cheap value to swing into and pressure their
and
kid.
there will be some moments where you just have no other better play, and you're just going to tap 5 for this, use your leader effect for 3 on your 8 Dawn turn, and that's it. You're just going to pass because sometimes you're just ahead, and you just want to get even more ahead.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just sitting at 5 life, and your opponent's at 2 because they keep killing your board. You might not build your board. Sorry, you might not use your leader effect to play guys in rest. You're just going to play this and want more cards in hand. You're just going to take those cards in hand, and you have a body on board for next turn because it's hard to get rid of this sometimes. Now we go to the boss monsters. I run 2 Mihawk, 1 Donflamingo. Don't run too many of either of these just because they don't have counter power. I love having counter power, especially against red. Just want to protect your little guys on board. He's really important against red too, just because you want to be able to swing 7k with your leader and still get some kind of removal. He's also a 7k body, which is tons of value. He's great against purple. It's like he's like Virgo, but for 2 extra Dawn, you're just bouncing something. And that 7k stat is very, very powerful. And he's a 7-drop, so it is a little hard. It's even harder to get rid of him. Decks like purple can't get rid of him without committing 10 Dawn. And then Mihawk is even better. Just for 2 more Dawn, you're not bouncing it to their hand, you're bottom decking it, and you're getting 2 more cape attack power, which is insane. This guy against certain decks, against green especially, if you see him on curve, against blue purple, against blue mirrors, he's just gonna
he puts in so much
you so
work.
far ahead.
Yeah, he bottom decks the 7-drop cape blocker. Just insane value against that green matchup.
Also, and just in like matches where you're trying to grind them out, or even red, sometimes just playing him into the 1-drop law, it's insane. It's just so much. You just got rid of a body, and you got a body on board, a massive body, a 9k. You swung at something, so hopefully you got rid of that, or got rid of a card in their hand. And then the law comes out, and they're like, they can't kill you because of the law, or they can't apply too much pressure. And next turn, you might even be able to kill them with just these 2, or you're gonna you're gonna bring them too far behind.
Yeah, card snapped.
Yeah, card is great. Next is Alvida. Literally just 2k counter. You can play her, never played her. It's a little awkward playing her because you do have to trash a card, but she can bounce 3 or less, but
never came up, right?
Yeah, 99% of the time you're just
combo
counter.
power,
yeah,
right?
It's great counter power though.
Yeah.
And then one of the best cards in the deck is Love Mellow. So Love Mellow allows you to gain 4k power for 2 Dawn. But what's crazy is if you have 3 or less cards, you draw 1, which is insane because you get to look at the top 5 of your deck. So a lot of the times you're going to put your 2k counters and say, I'm going to use Love. I'm going to keep 2 open for Love. And I know my next card is a 2k counter. And you're just going to go Love, 2k, that's 6k. And you only lost 1 card in hand because you're drawing. And a lot of the times you will have a small hand in Donflamingo just because you're protecting your board. So constantly protecting your board, you're just gonna whittle down your own hand. Your opponent's gonna think they're safe. They're not gonna swing too tall either. They're gonna be like, oh, you have 2-3 cards in hand. I'm gonna swing 7 or 8 at your pacifista.
And you just punish them with Love
beam. You just punish them with the Love. Or if they swing like 9, you Love, draw the card. You know the card's gonna be a 1k. You just combo that 1 card. You only went -1 and you comboed out a 9k swing, which is huge.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Anything you would change about the deck?
Like I said, maybe more pacifista, but for right now it works fine. I think this deck is great. The big thing I did was I cut down a lot on the non-counterable cards. I used to run Desert Spada, took that out. It just wasn't worth the 1 Dawn when you could just run Alvida, which is 2k for 0 Dawn. And pretty much just try to play every matchup right, because this deck is really nice, but you have to know your matchups against everything, even green. Green is your hardest matchup. You're probably going to lose green, but the way I build my deck is you're not always going to lose. You have a shot. If you see Mihawk, if you see Donflamingo, if you see Jinbei, if you just see your right cards, if you don't give them too many cards, too many life in the beginning, and you just build up your board, you can definitely deal with green. And then red is back and forth. Purple is also, every other match feels back and forth. It's 50-50, or it's slightly in your favor. So it's definitely a great deck to play, especially if you don't have a lot of green in your locals.
Yeah, definitely. Well, congrats again. Any last shout outs you want to give for
shout
Manga
outs to
Rare?
my brothers, help me with the deck, help me play test. Shout outs to my boy Nat, he also plays Donflamingo, help me build this deck. It's pretty much his build as well, just as much as it is mine. And shout outs to Espo for hosting this great event, and shout outs to Team MMG.
All right, thank you so much again, and congrats, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. Thank you.